Digesting Ferment. A practice as research video by Celia Ortiz. Chapter 1. Log 1. Kombucha Batch 1. 3,000 grams of water, 300 grams of starter liquid, 210 grams of sugar, and 21 grams of black tea. The whole fermentation should take around 14 days, but the first part should only last about 10 days in an ideal temperature of 24 degrees Celsius. For the second fermentation, I think I will try ginger and lemon. This should last 3 to 4 days. Passion fruit kombucha needed a tad more carbonation, meaning that I didn't give enough time for the yeast and acetic acid bacteria to develop carbon dioxide when converting the fruit's sugars. It was floral and tangy, acidic, sweet. Saccharomyces cerevisiae yeast, Gluconacetobacter, SCOBY is a suglial mat, thyme and oxygen. Time. Waiting isn't ecstatic in ferment. The truth is, it might seem like a state of waiting, but there is movement ever happening, even when we might not be able to perceive it. Breathe. It is important to breathe. Chapter 2. Digestion. Let's think about digesting, taking things in, breaking them down, understanding how they came to be, and contemplating where will they be next. We're constantly digesting, not only that which we can taste, but thoughts, feelings, words, memories, and invisible beings. A reminder that we are ourselves living beings, entities among others. We are constantly digesting. Even when we don't want to, we digest. Yes, it is a bodily process that without being conscious we perform, and yet we know that to truly listen to ourselves, to our gut, to others, we need to purposefully and instinctively digest. Break down things, move, change, become an infinite source of transformation, regeneration, mutation. Because when we are conscious, when we ourselves ferment, is when digestion serves us best. Chapter 3. Understanding ferment. Fermentation has evolved from accident, mere chance, and curiosity to a sort of keychain. I hold the keys. A recipe available to be followed, like rain pouring down, unlocking what the environment naturally provides for us. For a while, it was just about preserving the abundance of the months of harvest and having enough to survive throughout the hungry gap. We still practice fermentation in this way, as a tool for preservation in times of scarcity. It is a privilege not to even have to think about the logistics of food in this manner, and just use fermentation to enhance taste, or, like me, to see things start from the beginning, gifted by nature, to feel food in its entirety. We use miso to cook, soy sauce, and vinegars. We drink wine, beer, coffee, eat yogurt, cheese, bread, and all kinds of pickles. Have you eaten any of these products already today? This is an actual question. Think about it. Because the majority of you must certainly have eaten something fermented today, and we don't even think about it twice most days. I can't shake the bubbles inside. I have this need to understand what is my position within this digestion. How and where do I belong in this process? In this process I belong. I am nature. We're all nature, really. We like to think we're not. Maybe it is easy not to care for it if it is far removed from us. But it is part of the fabric of our being. And in doing fermentation, in noticing, I start to understand the beginning, the growing, the transforming, and the cycles that lets us be, breathe, eat, love, feed, taste, and think. Chapter 4. Share some bread, share some Saccharomyces cerevisiae. I am the environment. Sugar into alcohol, cultured, silent, everywhere and nowhere, inside and around, raw. I tell those untold stories, under 1,000 seas, humid and thick, in the dust, lost, suspended by air. Inhale, exhale, oxygen to my words, oxygen that tastes like soul, remedy to many, lucky lifeline, an unfinished combination of place and time, this myriad of ingredients, salt, water, heat, time, hands that transform our environment. I break down, I am environment. The ferments on my shelves have become books, albums documenting a moving past. The Life Archive, the Alive Archive, is an embodied reflection of this time in isolation. Their smell, both sweet and sour, represent the past 6 months. Isolation. What unexpected collaboration. I am truly being shaped by it. Shape, knead, twist, shape again. I'm still making bread. Log 56. I touch you and I feed you every day, ratios, numbers, grains, and water. 1 and 5 and 5 again. Each night, sometimes twice. In your shoulders we grow, tall, tall to the sun. Feed, we harvest, we eat, break it, share it. Warmth is merit. Flower, water, you, me, and time. I truly feel with purpose. You need me. Trap the bubbles, hold them, care for what's inside. I believe we are in a moment of transformation, mutating into other, changing the way we consume and theorize about food. Do you not think that? I mean, we should. Flexibility, adaptability, and resilience. We should rethink, find each other again. Find me! Yes, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, I have found you. I have found you. And you have found me. And I will share you with whomever is in need of you. I fermented the first lockdown away. I was making 3 loaves of 600 grams every 3 days, which needed to be started back to back because the process of making them would take around 3 days as well. I was fermenting my feelings away, working in relation with rather than in control of anything. I was keeping them in constant rotation, never inside a fridge. It wasn't slow, it was constant. 3 loaves, 3 days. 6 days a week for 3 months. I stopped baking bread. Shape, knead, twist, until I needed it again. Chapter 6. Anaerobic and Aerobic environments. Cooking with microbes. It's heavy, I must say, the environment, the way that it seems to be here to stay. I have been through that thin line before, trying to develop starch and protein into simple sugars and amino acids. I have been domesticated, and yet I walk that thin line between rot and ferment. Wild in environments like this, feared to in times of death and illness. But I crave her hands, just like she craves my savor. My bubbles excite her, and she knows I'm not danger. Kombucha batch 6. It's only been 8 days. There are bubbles and yeast formations all over the place, on the bottom and on the surface. I tasted it yesterday, and its flavor was much sweeter than today. The temperature, I think, is low. I mean, it feels cold. I need to sort out some type of heater to manipulate the environment. Manipulation of the wild feels a bit contrary to what I'm trying to do here, but yet I know it's necessary. The taste today is vinegary. My nostrils have opened, slightly peppery, acidic, tart. A bit too much of something, I can't really pinpoint it. Cooking with microbes is similar to cooking food. We manipulate, for example, through heat, the food's internal structure. And messing with the proteins is exactly what microorganisms do when fermenting. Cooking with microbes can be really simple. It is one of the reasons why we have been doing it since more than 9,200 years ago. Let's take sauerkraut. This recipe is a lacto-fermented one thanks to the help of lactobacillus. Lactic acid bacteria breaks down large molecules to small, more stable, digestible and flavorful molecules. From a biologist's point of view, this is a more complicated process, but in terms of food, the recipe is really quite humble. Salt, cabbage, and thyme. Chapter 7. Skin-to-skin contact. Gut deep. Our skin's like the membranes of every living organism and cell. In fact, like all borders, membranes and edges, is complex. From a distance or in the abstract, these edges may appear to be sharp, hard dividing lines, but up close, they are textured, supporting a multiple of smaller structures, biodiverse and selectively permeable, porous. And my hands, delighted, receive the precious cargo. They told us not to go out, to not transmit the virus, to stop contamination, to stop breathing, to not spread it. I agree. I know it's important. I know you need to keep safe. But we need to understand the difference between me and this thing. Bacteria enable me to subsist. I'm truly better when you're in the mix, fantasizing about extermination, when by association we'll end our own complexion. Purity and contamination. Cultural struggles that drive all of our nations. Another new SCOBY is growing. Always a sign of hope for futures to come. I'm scared of cutting it in half. I need to do it. It feels like my own skin. Flesh, stench. Now I intervene. Ripping, tearing, rupturing. It is kind of grotesque. I separate them, iterations of the same beautiful skin, hand in hand, place and time. Words my gut spells out, bubbles digesting nothing but sounds, friends that give me much more than I found. Dear prehistoric partner, our world is in decay. Tell me, are my hands an engine of change? Chapter 8. Kombucha batch 12. 12 times. 12 batches. A dozen. Approximately 14 days each, back to back. 180 days of brewing. 6 months. 6 months of collaborative ferment. Of digesting this ferment. Of fermenting myself. Anchor me to the sky. Let me transform. Slowly dry, slowly die. Maybe do it when the moon is as full and round as I am. When the only story is a candid one, and my smell lingers, tracing paths of what I've left behind. I promise I will miss your hands, such sugary delight.